So in this very short video, I will demonstrate for you how we will do multiple regression in Excel. All right. So I have my spreadsheet open, and we need to go to data analysis. Comes up here, and I'm going to select regression, and I need the Y range now. So the price is my Y. So that's fine. Got that. And then the X range, you include all of the columns that represent X. All right. And labels, yes, we have labels, and we confidence interval for the coefficients. We don't really need those. And we're going to put our output in auto sales 2. We could do the residual plots and do a plot for the standardized residuals, and let's see what that looks like. Here we go. Just going to open this up a little bit, and so if I could make this a little bigger. So here we go. If we look at what we have here, for this relationship, we were looking at whether or not price is related to the age and the mileage of the car. The multiple R, which is the sort of correlation coefficient, is 0.975. This is very high. The R square value, which explains the variation, explained variation, 95.1%. That's extremely high. All right. And so for the data that we have, if we look at the significance of the regression itself, that's why we look at the ANOVA table, we could see that we have 2.2 times 10 to the negative 20. That's the significance. That's the significance level. That's the probability that we're making a mistake. It's very, very small. So therefore, we have a very, very, very good fit in terms of this regression. In terms of the coefficients, let's look and see what we got. So in terms of the intercept, if we look at the test statistic, it's 68.36. That is extremely high. And look at the p-value, 1.7 by 10 to the negative 34. That means that it is extremely important to have that intercept in your equation. It is significant, strongly significant. Then if we look at mileage, mileage has a test statistic of negative 6.98, practically 7.0, and then a p-value of 9.34 by 10 to the minus 8. And then we look at age. There's a coefficient of age, negative 686.33. It has a t-value of negative 12.51. That's a huge negative test statistic, with a p-value of 1.95 by 10 to the minus 13, extremely significant. So all of these coefficients are significant. All right, and the interpretation, if you wish, if we have if our cost was in thousands of, no, it was in dollars, sorry, then we have, for every additional mile the car has on its odometer, the price will drop by 3.7 cents, right, or $3.037. And then for every additional year that the car ages, its price will drop by $686.34. So that's how we would interpret those values right there. Now, how do you interpret the intercept? That's always a debatable. We could say that a brand new car, because if you have no age or no mileage, then that's a brand new car, should be somewhere around $20,000. So your starting point is about $20,000 for a car. You might want to say that's about the average price of a car, and it seems about reasonable. Okay, we look at the residual plots against the age and against mileage, and what that helps us do is to determine whether or not the residuals are randomly distributed about 0, in which case if they are randomly distributed about 0, then the assumption that they are, that the errors are normally distributed about the mean 0 is a reasonable assumption. I don't see any particular patterns. What you're doing is you're looking for patterns. And then you could also plot the predicted price against the standardized residuals. And see what happens. I thought Excel would have given that to us, but I guess not. So if I look at that graph as well, and as we could see, there's really no particular pattern, and they're randomly distributed about a mean of 0. All right, so here we go with that one. So if you wanted to say, would a curvilinear model make sense for this data, you could actually go back to the data file and say, maybe it's somehow related to the square of the age. Well, you could create age SQ, right? And simply see this is squared, generate all the values, right? And go ahead and add that in and see if we were to do a regression model, what would we end up with? Let me just try it just in case, just to see what happens. But the R value that we got and the R square that we got tells us that there's a strong linear relationship between those variables. So I don't think this is going to help at all. But I just want to demonstrate it to show you what we can do if we wanted to try to fit a curvilinear relationship in this case, but only with the age variable that we're actually making a square. So let's try that, regression. And now I got to change my input variables to include age squared. All right, that's it. And we're going to just change where this ends up in worksheet number 3. So did it give us something better? Let's see. The F value for the regression, if I look at the F value, is 2.4 times e to the 21. 2.4 by e to the 21. If I compare it to this one, here it is 2.28 by e to the 20. So I guess it's even more significant. It's actually helping improve the significance level. The R square is 0.95 for the case where we treat it as a strictly linear function. Here it is 0.96. So actually squaring the age a little bit helps to improve your predictability and the coefficients. Let's see, but look at the p-value associated with age squared. It's actually significant. So all of them are significant. So in fact, this is a slightly better regression model than the linear regression model that I used a bit earlier. Okay, so I think that that's enough just to give us a flavor of how we would use Excel to do multiple regression. Multiple regression is useful whenever we're doing things like forecasting, where more often than not, there are multiple variables that are essentially influencing the independent variable. Okay, thank you.